Oh my gosh, the frickin' wiring on this boat. It's horrible. All right, I told you this was gonna be fun. We are underway with this project of rewiring my boat. Just to give you an idea of what we just took out, Aaron took out Boat and Bait Works. Let's start with all the Hubbell plugs and switches and the amount of frickin' wire that we had in the boat. Oh my gosh, dude. Bus bars, switches. We got all our terminals, battery switches, horns and alarms. Oh, there's a few tweeters in there. So, as you look here, that was probably 200 pounds worth of wire. We got amps, we got battery terminals, and honestly, I have never been more fired up about the crew platform because we're getting ready to embark in something that I know absolutely pretty much nothing about. Rewiring your boat. 1987 Ocean Master, Boat and Bait Works. Aaron's getting ready to do it all. Let's go. All right, so here's an interesting thing. You're wondering why I'm rewiring my boat. So I was in the Keys at a couple different locations, leaving my boat down there to do some deep dropping. Wanted to experience different things with fishing. Problem was, the several spots I left my boat at were close to mangroves. Mangroves and rats are like, that's like the thing. Rats love mangroves. Anyway, I come down and I see wires sticking out of my tube for my console, T-top, and I can see eaten wires. Long story short, my bottom machine wouldn't work. Parts of it would work, the chart would work, but the bottom machine wouldn't work. So he ate one of the wires there, and several other wires were eaten. So I said to Aaron, you need to come take a look at this. And as we started inspecting wires within the console, we were aware that the rats had been in there for quite some time, and they had a buffet on the old That's Nasty 31 Ocean Master 1987. I thought I had good wiring, and apparently I didn't. So here's what we did. Kind of check this out. So one of the issues that I've had in this console since I started, okay, is mildew, and I frickin' hate it, and it bothered me, and I used to clean everything behind things with Q-tips and trying to keep things clean because, you know, if you see here, this void around my through holes. Now, at one point, these through holes were for a toilet or a head. Then they became, you know, a live bait pump, which would pump out the side. But at the end of the day, when they put these in, obviously they had to cut a hole in the floor. And with the nature of the way the Ocean Master sits, water is still, even you can see it, there's water in my freaking boat. And so all of these wires and everything, no matter how good you cleaned it, every week I was in here cleaning, and it was bothersome. I said to Aaron and I said to David, well, how do we solve this problem, right? You know, and I'm thinking maybe a bilge pump forward where the water's sitting, because right now, honestly, there's no water in the back of my boat. So this boat sits bow heavy, and from here forward, the water sits. So I was thinking, okay, let me run a bilge pump, then we got to do a through hull out the side and all this stuff. And that being said, when we started thinking about, because I use my boat a lot and I'm constantly on it, and I have a trailer as well, we could leave what we have, because at some point, if we still want to use the bait pump, we needed to close this in. So David is, you know, what you're going to see later as he does is this. He's going to come and build a false floor and make a pattern around what you see, and then basically foam it back in with really high dense foam, and then put a false floor on top of it with starboard or poly, what do they call it, Aaron? PVC sheet. But that'll allow, again, for no water to come in here and keep everything that we're about to do really, really nice. And there's no sense in doing this job if you're going to keep moisture in your console. So kind of fired up about doing that. And again, he was able to look at that and go, this is what we need to do. And me, I was just at my wit's end, thinking we needed to take out the through hulls and take the boat out of the water and then do fiberglass work and fill all that in, and that saved me a lot of money and time. Okay, so you're looking at a before picture, and obviously I'm standing with a empty console. Looks like somebody stole all of my electronics last night, but it's really not what happened. So basically, you saw what we had previously. We also had up here, you know, this is where my Garmin's going to be. So basically, Aaron, talk about what you've done here. I know you've made templates and stuff like that, but the thought process of clearing everything out.
So originally you had some thinner material for your panels.
Yep.
You actually had 2 different types of material here. We're going to go back with 1/2 inch thick acrylic, the same as what you have here for all the panels.
Okay, so these will now be this thick.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
We're also going to do them with studs, so there won't be any screws on the face. Nice clean look. You had switches on both sides.
Right.
We pretty much deleted half of the switches because it's stuff that you're not using or don't want anymore. Makes it a lot easier for us because now we can put all our switches on one side.
Right.
Our gauges used to be here. We can move our gauges there now. We can bring our Garmin down, put it front and center where you want it. Keep you from getting a stiff neck, always looking up here.
Correct.
And just clean up this whole dash.
Okay, so one of the interesting things as we're talking, right, we're visiting and we're game planning, remember, highly watch the last film, because your plan of what Aaron's going to do and you working with Aaron or whoever your wiring guy is in Texas or New Jersey, have this plan before you start doing anything. Here's why. Tell them about, you know, obviously you saw all my batteries. All my batteries came out of the boat, which are actually right here, Jeff. You can kind of pan down. You're looking at 3 of the batteries. I have a 4 battery bank, but Aaron, talk about what you need to do. Show them what you did down here. Check this out, Jeff, if you can walk down there, because you still got the bilge pump, we have to remember.
Yeah, so right now we're basically disabled, except for our bilge pumps. We want to make sure she stays floating. We don't have the option of pulling the boat out. So we are doing it dockside, and we're going to try to get through it as quick as possible.
You guys with trailers, and if you know, obviously you want to do this out of the water, or you have a space to do that. But remember, for me and Aaron, I live right here at by this condo, and so for me, I can come check the boat quite, you know, often, several times a day. My shop is 2 blocks away. But at the end of the day, we do have, again, it's summertime here. We've got our bilge pumps hooked up, float switches,
right.
And so which you have to have. So remember, if you're going to do wiring at the dock and start pulling out all your stuff, that's something that's got to be done. Aaron, talk about filling holes, and you know, if in the plan you think you're going to need fiberglass work. You know, those are things that may happen, correct?
Correct. So with your boat, we took out so many different components that we're not using anymore. There was a lot of holes in here from all of those parts. There was a lot of previous holes that were in the boat. And once we pulled everything off, we realized that the only right way to do it is to fill it all in, prime it, paint it, and start fresh. And now we're not putting a bunch of panels in here. If we weren't going to go that route, then yeah, maybe we could have done some panel work inside. But the nicest way is to still just fill it in if you can afford to do that.
Dave
Start
Sword.
fresh. Yes, and our good friend David Sword is doing our glass work, our paint work. Got down here and started on it yesterday, and hopefully in the next couple of days I'll be able to start rigging it out with all new components.
That being said, I want you to think about this as we're looking at this. So we're talking about David Sword. You're going to meet him as we get to the next step, when he starts putting a false floor around the bilge or around the through hulls inside there, because we cannot have moisture inside of this. So Dave basically came down and he looked at it, didn't talk a lot, really looked at what was in the console. Looked like Swiss cheese. To me, looked horrible. I'm saying, well, can we fill it with caulk? Can we fill it with, you know, something? And and he's shaking his head. And long story short, you know, he's using AdTech. I believe it's AdTech to be able to fill the holes. Super, super hard. Way harder than Bondo, very hard to sand, but giving you what you need. And a lot of the little holes that you see on the side basically have to almost be drilled out more so that they're clean and the ability to fill them is there and it's not raised up so when you look in. So as he was looking at some of the, you know, paint and repair work in your console, I'm taking it to that next step. At the same time, you're dealing with somebody who looks at something different than I do. So even from the floor perspective, he was able to look at that and in 10 minutes go, hey, maybe we should do this, which again prompted us to completely change what we were thinking. Sometimes you and I, who are not really seasoned in this type of work, another guy that's seasoned in that can go, yeah, no, you probably should do it this way, and he can take 2 seconds and look at that. That's like me doing something with sword fishing. You've done it so much it becomes second nature. When you see it, you know how to deal with it, and that's why it's wonderful to deal with guys like this. That being said, that plan, remember what we talked about, when you go into this console and you say, we're going to start pulling everything out, and you go, wow, holy crap. For you to start cutting wires is no big deal. For me, the thought process of cutting one wire is like, I don't even know what that went to. But again, that comfortable, you know, the thought process of at the end for us to minimize wires, minimize toggle switches, have so much less, just gives you the confidence that, man, when this frickin' thing is done, I can get on this boat and be like, I got 12 switches on a 31-foot boat. Now, if you look at some of these boats on the market, and Aaron, you know, you can attest to that because you've seen the Freemans and you've seen these 60-foot center consoles.
Yes.
And there's 100 switches. Somebody says, turn on the salt water pump and it takes you 12 minutes to find it.
That's right.
Man, that is overwhelming. So if there was one thing for you guys, and agree or disagree with this statement, if you have an old boat, you are better off simplifying and having less on a boat than more on a boat. Some people want to put 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. Me, I want that ease of my mind, like you were saying, and what can we get rid of? What can we not have? You know, if we do really want that stereo, you know, and you have only so many batteries. So something we haven't talked about is, hey, am I right in saying less is more sometimes?
Sure, no doubt.
Right, so you agree with that?
Yeah.
That being said, one of the things that you said in the last film, you're going to be upgrading all the stereo stuff on here in addition to my wiring, okay? Mm-hmm. So a lot of, when somebody has that thought process and you go, well, you only have 2 batteries in this boat, but you want this big stereo. So then the plan becomes maybe we're going to a 3 battery system instead of a 2 battery system. And so all of those things that, correct maybe?
Right. Well, the nice thing is if you're going to go with a large elaborate stereo system, it's really best to have a house bank of batteries, which essentially you did have a house bank, but it wasn't a fail-safe setup for when you shut the engines off and you're drifting, playing your stereo and running all your different electronics and stuff. The nice thing about what we're going to do in here is that when you shut the keys off, those engine batteries are isolated from your house bank. So no matter how much you play your stereo and run all your electronics and your lights, you'll always be able to start your engines and go. You won't be dead in the water.
Right.
So that's it's really the best setup because
most people with used boats don't have that setup.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Now, if they're redoing, they don't.
Right.
But if like most people who have old stereos and old systems, and you know, it's in, like you said, either have house batteries and then motor batteries, but it's like they're not. And this is
they're not isolated.
This is a true statement. Yeah. So, like, truthfully, for me, you're going to think this is crazy, but this is a true statement. When I looked at, I had 4 battery switches on this boat. 5.
Five.
5.
Yes, 5.
So I had 5 battery switches on my boat. I thought that the house batteries were the outside, but by me looking as a regular guy, I can't tell what my house battery, if nothing's labeled, how am I supposed to know what my house batteries are or what my motor?
Unless you built it, you know?
Correct. Or you said to me, well, your motor batteries is generally is it a heavier gauge or something? When you read positive and negative when you were looking at it. So when you look at, how do you know what's what?
Well, from my point of view, I can tell what is controlling your engine batteries because I know, the cable run is coming up from the
Correct.
engines. I can see that. However, you can't see that.
Right. Correct. And I'm not thinking about that.
Right.
The other thing that Aaron and I are talking about, you're going to see it when we go in, because when we start explaining the end result when we're done. When you looked at the top of my batteries, when I looked at the top of my batteries, I have 4 batteries that they're crossed over in some fashion, I guess is how you would put it.
Right, your
This
grounds.
one's now if I'm on all and I'm running out to the sword grounds 20 miles, I keep everything on all, everything's charging up. When I get out there, I'm supposed to go 1 to 2, 1 and 2 and isolate that and keep.
That's the manual way of doing it. The automatic way of doing it is we add charging relays. So when you shut the keys off, those engine batteries are isolated from the house. So you're not drawing off of those batteries. Hence, you don't have to go in there and turn
Oh, you don't
switches.
turn anything?
No. Your setup, when you get on board,
Right.
You're going to go in there, you're going to turn one switch to on, the second switch to on. You're going to start your boat, untie, and go. That's it. And you're not going to even mess with that unless you run into a problem with the house bank. If there ends up being a problem with one of your house batteries and all of a sudden, you're seeing voltage drops on your electronics and stuff, then you can go in and you can switch your switches to combine. Now they're all parallel together and combined. But that's not how you want to normally run. You want to normally run it in the on, switch 1 on, switch 2 on, and now the engine batteries are isolated from the house.
But it's automatic. You're
Yes,
not thinking
with
even,
the relays. Yeah, you
Okay.
take that manual part out of it from going in there and turning switches. So,
Right.
which it's really how most of the newer boats are set up because of that problem.
Right.
A guy doesn't want to have to get on here and go, all right, I've been playing the stereo for 2 hours. Let me go turn the switches and do all that. Because most people don't do it.
I keep my
before they
boat
know
on.
it. Yeah, before they know it, the batteries are dead and now they're dead in the water.
Right.
So,
Okay, makes a lot of sense. And obviously, we're prior to doing all that. So to me, it's hieroglyphics basically until we get this going. But the one thing I did say to Aaron is, when we start doing the batteries and we start looking at this and hooking them up, and he said to me, you don't need to have this crossover anymore, and you basically can run those a negative wire, 4 of them to 4 batteries. It's not like this anymore.
well, what I typically like to do, because it's easy to set up your negative terminals by jumping all of your negatives together. However, when you go to change out your batteries yourself, or you can't get me to come and do it, and you just I want to change out a
Correct,
battery.
correct.
You don't want to have 8 negative terminals on each battery. You really only need a positive and a negative, and another positive and negative for the battery charger.
Gotcha.
In most cases. So that way, when you go in there and you want to change that battery, you just write down, all right, I got 2 positives, I got 2 negatives. Or you take a picture and it's simple to see
Take
it.
a picture, and it's what I've been doing.
But, when you take a picture and you got a lot of a lot of wires connected, sometimes you can't always see that.
Correct.
And it makes it easy to miss a wire. And it happens quite often that I'll get a call, hey, I changed the batteries and now I have no power to the house. And my first response is, are you sure you have all the wires connected? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I had a guy do it and knows what he's doing. I go there and I look down there and I pull out a cable and I'm like, what's this? And I connect it and boom, everything works.
Right.
So
Understood.
simplifying it,
Yeah.
making it user friendly so that you can actually do some of the do-it-yourself
Right.
and not and not screw up
Understood.
and have a problem.
Yeah, so anyway, in closing this one up, we're getting ready to, obviously, you saw the wire that we pulled out. It's a little mind-boggling to me that we can just, okay, let's do it, and we're in the water, you know, but just going through it, bilge pump are still working. We still have an isolated battery in there. We got one. David's been here filling holes, he's doing some sanding and prepping. He's going to paint. We talked about how to do the floor. You had somebody that professionally could look at it in 2 seconds, said here's the best way to do it. This is the cliff notes of the film. There's a plan in place. He's been here. We did this. This is today's Thursday. We started this on Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you already see everything's gone. If there's a picture, I'm going to show you the templates that he's already done to make the panels here for the stuff that we need. You can see all this stuff's already gone. This is my ignition keyholes, everything that you need. Obviously, Suzuki left this, but in order to do painting and prep, a lot of it has to do with prep. This is my old autopilot. We're not using that anymore. My trim tabs here, you know, obviously you can see what was here. And then again in the console, he's going to keep prepping. Maybe another day, start painting. And, you know, in a week, you can really kind of accomplish a lot if you've had that plan. So one thing also I want to say to you guys real quick, check this out. You know, I understand things are expensive, okay? And we work hard for our money. Every dollar counts, and so if there's thinking that needs to be done before you embark on this deal, save yourself some money by taking pictures like Aaron told you, jotting stuff down, having a plan. I want to get rid of this. So when he comes to the boat, it's not like just an open conversation. You know, one of the things I'm learning from him as I spend time with him, he can come down and make suggestions to me, but overall, if I kind of have a plan, I'm going to save some time. And I don't care if a guy's charging you $50 an hour, $100, but in this game, you know, he's standard rate for what guys do, and he's really, really good at it. And if it's $125 an hour, get it together and have a plan going in and save yourself time, effort, and energy. Another thing I was going to say to you, and you know me, because I'm kind of a hands-on guy, you know, if I said, hey man, can I do that? And, you know, if you need me to do that prep work, you know, do you have a problem with people doing that?
No, not really. I mean, if it's a full rewire,
yes,
and someone wants to just take the whole thing apart,
right?
I mean, take it all apart and clean it and give me a nice clean canvas to work on. Hey, that just saves me time from going in and cleaning.
Right. Well, hold on a second. Now think about what he just said. If you guys have a 24 Mako or 21 Mako on a trailer, and you're able, and you have a meeting with them, you come down and go, yeah, we're going to redo this whole thing, and you can take all this stuff out. Man, you can sit there at night and you can do all that prep work and take that out and paint your stuff and get it ready. You just saved yourself a lot of money. So doing stuff yourself obviously can save you some money.
Sure.
And then you're given a clean canvas or palette to be able to do what you need to do.
Right.
Right. So yeah, man, things are expensive, but safety is another element of that. And you know, I want to feel safe on my boat. When this is done, I'm really fired up to do it. But again, we're just embarking. We're 4 days in. You can see what progress we've made, and we'll give you the next one, a little update here shortly.